Hello everyone, it's been a while, but it's time for another review of an episode of Young Justice. Today I will be covering what is considered to be the 5th episode of the series, Schooled. This episode focuses on one of my least favorite characters in this series, Superboy. Although I started actually enjoying this series with the previous episode, Drop Zone, I still don't find that I like any of the characters at all. Robin and his overanalysis of linguistics, Kid Flash and his overuse of flirtation, Martian Lady Hunter just being the annoying, naive girl with the helpless crush, Aqualad being the level-headed guy who doesn't chat incessantly. He's the only character I don't hate. And since I know nothing about him, it's not that I like him, it's just that I hate all of the other characters much more. So why don't I like Superboy, who this episode endeavors to make me like? Pretty much since he was introduced, I've just thought his whole bad boy spurts of anger attitude was annoying and way overdone. We've seen this character all the time in just about any team series you can think of. He has a little bit of Fonzie, if Fonzie was an emotionally stunted 1-year-old. He resembles bits of early Wolverine before he was cool. He's a dead ringer for Raphael of the Ninja Turtles. He's got a little bit of Timberwolf of the Legion of Superheroes in him. I could keep going, but I won't. My point is that this archetype is nothing new, and I don't really see Superboy doing anything that hasn't already been done before with this character model in this show. This episode, more or less, does exactly what you think it would do in the first minute or two. We see Superman basically come short of saying, "I don't like you, brat, go away." Superboy comes back to Mount Justice, worst code name for a headquarters ever, and he starts his rage against his whole team and then Justice League mentor Black Canary specifically. It does a decent job of setting up what Superboy's arc for this episode will be. He thinks that brute force is all that is necessary for winning, and Black Canary clearly shows him up in the sparring. It's pretty obvious that Superboy is going to put his training to use by the end of the episode. I guess this couldn't have been done much better, since this episode only has a very limited amount of time to get across a character arc. But it seemed pretty telegraphed and callable, at least for me. Not to mention, it was really weird how Black Canary seemed like the worst trainer in the world. She says utter nonsense like, "You must dictate the terms of battle." Okay, Canary, would you care to vaguen that up a little bit for me? Why not just be clear and say, "I'll be teaching you judo. It's when you can use your opponent's strength and size against him." This would have at least been useful even to someone like Superboy, as even though he's strong, there are others he will be fighting who are stronger, and I'm certain that even he would know that. Outside of Superboy getting a little bit of an arc in this episode, I don't have much to— oh wait, yes I do! The Man of Steel himself, Superman, who will be getting the Father of the Year award on opposite day. Here's the thing. If you told me that I had a clone, and that I had to man up and raise him and teach him and basically adopt him as my own kid, that would suck, right? It would be like being told that you were going to have a baby without doing the thing that leads to having a baby. And nobody would want to be in that situation. And it's understandable that anyone else would act the way Clark does. But this is Superman. He is really the one dude who would actually not act this way, right? He knows that he has responsibilities, and it seems like his appearances on this series are an exercise in shirking his responsibilities. It almost makes Superboy's behavior understandable. And speaking of Superboy's behavior, there is one moment in this episode where I don't actually hate him. It's when Superman is being so kind and generous. Oh no, wait, I must be thinking of a character who actually acts like Superman. It's when Superman is yelling at Superboy and shirking his responsibilities of helping this kid figure things out. I really feel sorry for Superboy, for about 4 seconds, until he starts acting like himself once again. Anyway, Superboy does go through his arc in this episode, but I really can't shake this feeling that by the next episode, he's going to go back to being the broody loner guy who yells at his teammates when they talk to him. I just can't shake the feeling that that's who he's going to be from now on, even though he kinda seems like he's not that guy anymore by the end of the episode. Oh well, I guess I'll find out later. This isn't a very long review because there's not much to talk about here. None of the other characters really get moments except for Superboy, and the threat of Professor Ivo seems like it's all set up, and since I haven't seen past this episode, it just doesn't really merit much discussion when I'm talking about this episode. It's a passable episode, but I don't really feel like it's as great as Drop Zone. Maybe because I hated the episodes preceding Drop Zone, and so my expectations were to the floor by the time I got to that episode. Though it may seem like I didn't quite like this episode, it wasn't nearly as bad as the episodes that preceded Drop Zone. I am looking forward to seeing more of this show. In the meantime, next week, look forward to another review of an episode of Batman the Animated Series, and a week after that, the next episode of Young Justice. And during the week, expect plenty more videos where I talk about movies and comics. See you then.